Spaceman by Elias Lamshol. The doorbell rang, sending the dogs into a frantic frenzy. They barked and howled wildly, then drove their noses into the crease at the bottom of the door. Whatever they smelled made them start whining and prancing. All of this had happened in the span of a few seconds, and before Stephanie could reach the door. She took a deep breath and just stared at the knob. The last time she'd opened the door, there were two men in uniforms carrying a flag. They told her that her husband, Walter, was dead. The dogs whined and pawed at the door. They drove their noses down and she could hear them sniffing heavily. The doorbell rang again. The dogs barked. "Just a minute," said Stephanie as she nudged her leg between the door and the dogs. The last thing she wanted was for them to run out. Her heart nearly jumped out of her throat when she saw Walter standing on the other side. He was wearing his blue uniform, the kind they wore up there on the ISS, the kind he would have been wearing when he died. Stephanie felt her knees buckling. Her hands and lips trembled. How? She stepped out onto the porch, forgetting to close the door behind her. The dogs rushed out and sniffed Walter's hands and feet. "They said you were dead." She couldn't hold back the tears. They came and she didn't try to stop them. She wrapped her arms around him and squeezed him tightly. The dogs whimpered and backed away. Both ran back inside and hid somewhere in the house. Walter didn't hug her back. He just stood there, lips tight, eyes unblinking. Stephanie pulled away. His body was cold and something about it didn't feel right, like he was made of clay. She was staring at something that looked like Walter, but it wasn't him. She'd spent too many nights lying beside him in bed, his arms wrapped tightly around her, to be fooled. "Who are you? What sort of sick joke is this?" "It's not a joke," said the Walter look-alike. "I was with Walter when he died. May we go inside?" Stephanie forced back down the bile in her throat. "No, you are not coming inside. I don't know who or what you are, but this is cruel. Do you understand? This is wrong. I want you to leave. My time in this form is very limited. Soon I will return to the place that I am from. Walter wanted me to deliver one final message before that happens." There was something in his eyes. It didn't make sense, but somehow she knew that this other version of her husband was telling the truth. "Okay," she said after a long, thoughtful pause. "Okay, let's go inside." The Walter look-alike sat down. He sat right on the edge of the cushion, as if he were expecting to bolt upright at a moment's notice, like he had never sat on a couch before. "Who are you? How can you look like Walter? You said you were with him when he died? How is that possible?" "I am a traveler from another dimension. My form is far different from your own, but the properties of this universe allow me to modify it to suit my needs at will. Temporarily, unfortunately, I cannot remain this way for very long." Stephanie felt as if the breath had been pulled from her lungs. "So you're an alien?" "If that is what you want to call me, I am as much an alien to you as you are to me. You said you were with Walter when he died. You said he had a message for me. What was it?" The look-alike's eyes moved past her for a moment. There was a sudden shift. Something in the way they moved, in the way they looked around. "Stephanie?" The look-alike's voice had a warmth to it that wasn't there before. It sounded for all the world like the real Walter calling her name. "I'm here," she said. The look-alike's eyes focused on her. They were loving eyes, deep with passion. "I don't have long. The traveler's form is getting weaker every moment, and it'll have to change back soon." "Walter? Is that you?" His smile was warm, familiar, loving, the way the real Walter used to smile at her. "It's me." Stephanie couldn't help herself. She didn't care that this thing in front of her, this strange copy of her dead husband, was supposedly an alien. Maybe she was insane. Maybe they both were. But she didn't care, and she pressed her lips to his and wrapped her arms around him. Their kiss was deep and passionate. "Walter, please don't go. I don't know what I'll do without you. What we'll do without you," she said. "You'll live your life. You'll live your life for both of us, and one day you'll love again." "No, No, I can't. I can't live without you. Yes. Yes, you can. You have to go on. Please don't leave me, whimpered Stephanie. Do you remember what you called me the day I left for the mission? Walter smiled and pressed his palm to her cheek. Stephanie cupped her hand around it. I'll always be your spaceman, he said with a smile. Sailing in a sea of stars. Stephanie closed her eyes and held his hand tightly against her cheek. She could have held it forever. She wished she could. We have to leave now. This form is failing. Walter was gone again. The look-alike had returned. She let his hand drop from her face, but couldn't quite find the strength to let it go. Walter is with me, here. When this form fades, we will be released. Will it hurt? No. Thank you. The look-alike's hand started to peel away into flakes of ash, and soon he crumbled into a pile of gray dust. Goodbye, my spaceman. Thanks for listening to Spaceman. This was a different kind of story than what I'm used to writing, but I enjoyed the whole writing process for this one. If you enjoyed this story, consider subscribing and sharing it with others. I hope you have a wonderful day. And again, thank you for listening.